What if you can't be that person and you never will be able to, and you can't show up? Does that mean you're less than? And obviously the answer is no. But that's what led me. Well, then, if there is no difference, like, then why am I chasing that? Why am I trying to be that thing? And obviously, like, what I know now and then discovered was that, like, it's all from, like, just being comfortable with who you are and knowing that you're loved for that. And I think we all start there, especially in church, and then eventually it gets this thing where it's like, yeah, you are, but like you need to do this and this and this. And I was like, I can't keep up with that. And I've done it for so many years, and I look back and I'm like, it hasn't led me anywhere. And I don't regret any of my time or any of my journey. I try not to, because I feel like I wouldn't be who I am or where I am right now if I didn't go through any of that. And so I don't look at it with like, oh, like, sure, life could have been different, but any decision you make can alter your life. So it's like, I'm not regretful, I'm thankful, because I can be where I am now and learn and know what I do know now. And I've still got so much to learn and so much to grow in. But that question was on my heart, and I really did think of others who can't. And then it's like, okay, well, if performance is driving, right, because it's like, oh, to get to this place that I see, to be this person that I see, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And if I wasn't that, I wouldn't feel like enough in a way. And I really had to come to a place where it's like, well, like, there's a difference between doing it to perform and doing it because it's who you are. And I believe there are people who are doing it who they are, but like, and I was in a free environment. Like, I was in a place where performance wasn't a thing. Like, even worship and stuff, we weren't performing for anyone. But you don't realize like how deep that performance little root can go into your heart when you believe, like, and a lot of this comes from the what I believe now is like, we're not separate from Christ, like, ever. And I know, again, this is stuff we say in our Christian circles, but we live a different way. We say it, but we still live like as if we are in a lot of ways and think like that. But when you don't believe that you're fully in Christ and He's in you, then like everything you do is to try to get there, right? If I read more, then I'll have more of God. If I can spend an hour in prayer, then it's good. But if I could spend 2 hours, then it'd be even better. It's like doing all these things to get more of something or to be more of something, and you realize like it's already done. Like, you are enough as you are. And I think I found like myself in that space of having to let go of what I thought I should be, because a lot of it again was probably performance for people, but also for myself. And again, like, if you looked at me, you wouldn't say I'm performing at all. But clearly I was, because I thought I didn't have something and I need to get there. And there were other people who looked like they were there, and so now I need to do that. And it's this real subtle little thing. Um, and again, even in speaking, I feel like, yes, I'm not doing a good job explaining myself, but then I have to remind myself, like, it's okay. I'm just spewing out thoughts here and talking, and I don't feel like stopping, redoing, because then it becomes something else. And for now, I'm just rambling. But yeah, I think that performance route was big, and it's because I believed I was separate in some ways, in some areas from God, and I needed to look a certain way. And again, like, because a certain lifestyle was celebrated, when I didn't have that, I felt like I was missing out, or I'm lacking, or I'm just an average person. And the worst thing for me was to be like just an average, especially after devoting all my life to ministry. It's like the last thing I can be is just a normal person, because now I'm in a space where, well, I devoted my life to ministry, but I'm also now not in ministry, so I'm like further behind than everyone in a way. And and so it's like, yeah, I just, yeah, that's yeah. Sorry, I'm just thinking of what I'm saying here. Yeah, but I've come a far way, so I'm thankful for that. Um, but those questions really drove me to where I am now. What was God's love conditional or unconditional? Because if it's conditional, then what are the conditions? And if it's unconditional, then that means that there's never a thing you have to do, right? Who wrote that? Who told me that life has to be this way? Who told me that I have to look like this? Who told me that that's what on fire looks like? Even an on fire Christian, like, who told you that's what it looks like? You know, who told you that this is how we need to operate? And like, if you pray for this is how, it's like someone told us that. And it's often not the Lord. Like, I'm not saying it's not him, but it's often man, you know, telling us like, oh, this is how, and then this person does it differently and it works. So it's like, okay, cool, now we need to do this. I mean, like, how many books are there on different things? How many more times do you want to realize how to pray for healing, or like how to fast, or what? It's like there's thousands of books on each of these new ways and methods to do it. And it's like, well, at the end of the day, for me, the only thing I come back to is like, which doesn't sell, is like love. Like, you can only just love someone, and if anything is happening, it's probably from love, which again I'll probably get into. But who told me these things? And then what about the people who can't live that certain lifestyle, the soul out there devoting 4 or 5 hours a day to the Lord, spending every moment in his presence, only listening to worship music, not watching TV, you know, all these things that like you make. It's like, what about the people who can't? Does that make them less than? Because I went through a stage where I did all those things and I was celebrated more than most people. But it's like, then that means that there is a certain lifestyle that's better than the others. And then there means there's a ladder you can climb and there's a way you can do it. And it's like, that's just not true. And I was chasing that hard. And now I'm definitely not. Like I said, I'm kind of on the opposite now, where I'm maybe way too laid back about everything. But those were the things that drove a lot of my thinking. And what I've probably learned over the time now is that there is, and I said it in my other one, God's love is unconditional. There is no hierarchy. Like, there is no difference, and this is a big one, even for me sometimes, but like, there is no difference between that single mom loving her kids and me being a sold out Christian, inverted commas. Christ is in us all, and like, when you do these small things, it's as big as doing something big, as long as it's done with love. You know, it's like, in fact, it's better to sit with someone and love them and not pray for healing than pray for healing and not love them, right? Isn't that what Corinthians says? Like, without love, it's nothing. And we get so good at doing stuff without love. Like, I mean, the amount of testimonies and healings when you're like, okay, what was the person's name? And it's like, well, don't actually know. Like, I get it, right, for certain spaces, but like, there's a problem when you don't know the person, but you can do all these things for them. And it's like, maybe that person didn't need that in the moment, and the only way you know that is by love. And it's like, a mother loving her kids and giving her everything for them is as beautiful, as spiritual as someone's praying for all these people, you know. And it's like removing these hierarchies or these levels or these standards, because that excludes people, and that's like a huge thing, which my thoughts aren't there now, but I actually think about it a lot, like how exclusive Christianity is, and certain sects of Christianity. And it's like, if you were lucky enough to be born into a certain style of Christianity, you're better than someone who wasn't, you know. And I'd also have that, similar to the thought, what about the single mother, or what about the kid who grew up as, and because in our circles, like, though we try to love everyone, like, we still had it better, we were more free, you know. People are religious, Baptists, Methodists, Catholics, whatever. It's kind of like, you don't say it, it's not said, but it's kind of known that like, we have it, we're right. And it's like, similarly to that single mom, or, you know, the guy who works on weekends. Like, my wife's a nurse, she works on weekends, so Sundays when we have church, she can't often be there. And she really, like, missed out a lot, in the sense of, like, she wasn't celebrated as much because she wasn't at the things. And it's like, well, what about the kid who grew up as a Methodist or Baptist, that's all they knew, and they gave their heart devoted fully to that? Does that make them less than because they were just in an environment that didn't show them a different way? And that's where this thing really started to fall apart, when I asked these sort of questions. Is like, you can't say that. You can't say we are right and you're wrong. You know, because, again, it's just so exclusive. Like, and we're so comfortable with saying that in that. And it's only since I've been out, I've realized how swag Christians can be. sorry if you don't understand my slang, but like how, yeah, like bad Christians can be, like how exclusive we really can be, and we paint it in love, but it's really not love, because love doesn't exclude. Love includes all, and that's what Jesus did, and he's what we're trying to be like. Yet we can do that from our high horse, while excluding someone, and it's just like that stuff had to fall away and like strip away from me. And again, once I started just asking and posing these questions, these things just started to fall apart. Yeah, and there's just I think this is hard because there's just so much to it. Like there's so many avenues, and I remember what like excited me back then. Like I said, I'm so far from it. So even now, I'm just trying to remember. But that was definitely it. Like, God, is your love conditional or not? Like, do I need to do something to earn it or to get it or to receive it? And if I did nothing, did I still earn it and receive it? And that, if you follow that question down to the depths, is a life-altering question. It's a question that really will challenge your thoughts because it applies to everyone, or does it? And that's what you have to ask yourself. So yeah, I think like that's the takeaway. Like God's love's unconditional. Like who told you it has to be that way? Because often, I'll just say this: like I put things on my own heart and over my own life that I don't think God did. Like I held God to a standard and myself to a standard that I don't think He was holding me to. Like I would get prophetic words and all this stuff, and I'd be like, okay, cool. Well, this is who I'm going to be, and like I think I put a lot of this stuff, and the Lord was like, and even made things in the name of the Lord and said, the Lord said I must do this, or whatever it is. And actually, it was never Him. And I had to go through a stage where I let go of like all of that stuff, like these things that I thought were my life, and being like, who actually told me that? Like, why did I'm holding myself to the standard, I'm holding God to a standard that He's not even holding me to or Himself to, you know? And so it's like, who asked you? Who told you that? Like, who wrote that on your heart? Was it you? Was it the Lord? Like, is it His love, or was it people and hurt people, or whatever the case may be? And thirdly, like, is this thing for everyone, or is there a better way? And again, it's like, is it more spiritual to do X or Y? Because if there is one, then people who aren't doing that are less than. And I just don't believe that anymore. And it's forced me to try to see Christ in everything, in everyone, which like isn't a bad thing, right? It's forced me to try, this comes back to being present. It's like trying to see God where you're at. I used to read like Brother Lawrence, and he would share about just, washing the dishes, and God's presence was so around him. And it's all about just being present where you're at, even in the mundane. And that's what that question does for me. It's like, well, if there's no one's better than the other, well then they must all be good. And how do you enjoy them for what they are? And I think that helps keep you present, and even with people. And like to drop the thing of like, oh, I'm with someone, I need to try slip the gospel in you, otherwise they're going to burn. Or like, I need to get them saved, or I need to, if you can just drop that and actually just be with the person for the time that you're with them, like that's special. That probably speaks way louder than anything. And it's so freeing for myself and for whoever I'm sitting with, because people can feel that stuff as well, and it's just not genuine. You're not there because you love, because love doesn't insist on its own way. Like love will be there for that person. And it even goes into a conversation which I won't speak about now, but like just eternity. Like when you're fully present, nothing else in that moment exists, and like time becomes nothing. But we'll leave that for another thought. But for now, that's my thoughts for today. I was thinking about like other stuff as well, but I'm trying to not, and just focus on one thing for now. But anyway, that's it for now. I will keep thinking and keep talking, and yeah, hopefully one day look back and be like, whoa, I've come a far way from then. Or maybe one day delete the whole thing because I was like, that's a load of rubbish. Anywho, lacquer.